activity sink. So, for the opportunity for them to be at a pool, even a kiddie pool, the blue plastic pools. I don't know that they do those anymore. They sell those anymore. But for kids to have a pool, I think it's just about everybody may have been to a pool.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been better suited for our region. Maybe in a regional
And it might have been
activity.
something more understandable for our students.
What sinks in your pool, or what sinks in your bathtub, what floats in your bathtub. Or even something like, do you have toys in your bathtub? Do they sink or do they float?
Mm-hmm.
Like I stated earlier, kids have bathtubs. And generally, I think I was there every time I took a bath, not a shower. And start there, but it a more realistic activity for them.
Mm-hmm.
So having the opportunity to do this over, you would definitely modify this activity, not the boat one. Have something definitely different. And this was not, what do you think this was measurable for the students, like assessment-wise?
No. I don't know how. The only thing that I could assess really was, could they count the pennies?
And that's not the goal of the task.
No. That was a
Staff
totally
members,
different.
we need all teachers who signed up for the autism workshop to please report to the PLC room at this time. If you signed up for the autism workshop, please report to the PLC room. Thank you.
What is this?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? The assessment part.
Oh, the only thing that I really could have assessed would have been, could they count the pennies? And that wasn't the point of this lesson. This lesson was talking about sinking and floating, not could you count the pennies.
Personally, I did see an an assessment online that said sink and float, and the children predicted whether they thought this item would sink or float, and they wrote their predictions, and then they put those items into the bin or tub of water,
Mm-hmm.
and then they checked or X'd if they were right. That would pertain to sinking and floating more than building aluminum boats and.
But I think for it to be the STEM activity, that's why we had to build something, because of it being engineering. They had to.
Science, technology,
Mm-hmm.
engineering. Built a sink or float item.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's true. We could have built things that we found outside just with rocks and sticks and see if they. But I do understand that perspective. They had to build something. You have a good point. We could have made a hypothesis about the activities, but and you guys did that. What causes boats to sink and what causes boats to float? So you did meet that criteria. Was this a kindergarten standard?
No.
Really?
Mm-mm.
So there were a random activity was chosen, not based on the kindergarten standard, not part of the science or social studies.
Mm-hmm. Well, we talk about water, but that's as far as we go down that road.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because this was an activity that the whole building did. That whole building designed the boat challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I really thought it was geared toward our standard. Nothing about this was kindergarten standard.
Well, like I said, we talk about water. We talk about counting of the pennies. We do talk about shapes. At one point we talked about the shape of the boat, what shapes of the boat might help. You know, you can't have a big long rectangle is not a boat. And some of my children didn't fold the aluminum foil and try to leave it as a long rectangle. We talked about how most boats are more of an oval shape versus rectangle. And then I brought up the liner, the boats that carry the
Ocean liners.
the ocean liners, and showed them that they're more rectangled to hold the rectangular boxes that they. So in a way, it touched our standards, but it didn't dig deep into our standards as much as I think it should have. Because, like I said, the whole school did the same challenge.
As a department or a team, are you guys allowed to make a suggestion for the STEM challenge for the upcoming year? Like if you find something standard-based that meets the STEM, can you suggest something that's more geared toward kindergarten, that provides more learning or more valuable knowledge for the students, that's more standard-based?
I'm sure there's a STEAM committee. I'm sure they look into it. But this is a new thing for our school, so there wasn't a lot of input from the grade levels at this point. I think it's more we're trying to introduce STEM to our school, and we want everybody to be a part of it.
Well, I know you spoke with this STEM teacher regarding the validity of this activity for your grade level, and I know that the decision was that she would find something, hopefully, that's more age appropriate for kindergarten, with not such a wide range from kindergarten to second grade, and hopefully find something that's more standard based for kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
I think that some of the kids had fun, some of the kids did not have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some meltdowns. I think you dealt very well with the meltdowns. There were some successes in the boat building. Some of them might have engineering in their blood at 5. Some of them, the majority of them did not. I don't think any of them recalled much about this activity. This is almost, 2 weeks later,
Mm-hmm.
and no one's really talking about the boat building.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the board is still there, there's not a lot of discussion about boat building and weights of pennies and so forth. I think they enjoyed it for the moment that they did it. I don't think there was much content attainment from that challenge. I think it was just a fun day for the kids, which
Mm-hmm.
school should be fun, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think much was learned from the students. From the activity, I think they learned some things from the video. I think they may have learned some things from the books.
Mm-hmm.
I think some counting was acquired in that skill, but I don't think a whole lot was learned from the actual challenge at this grade level. I did pop into some first grade classrooms and saw some activities, and they seemed to enjoy it, but from what I've learned from those teachers, I don't think there was much
Not much
content
gained.
attainment
Mm-mm.
from those either. So I think even though the school is trying to become STEM certified, I think the activities still need to be more geared toward the learning of the students and standards based, not activities to meet the STEM, because it's kind of taken away from your day and your teaching time, interrupting your academic day, getting things all out of balance for the students.
Right.
If you had your choice, would you do STEM activities in your classroom?
I don't know. Not all the time, because it is a lot of stimulation and it takes a lot of time to bring them back down from it. And each time we've done one, it's required quite a bit of material. And if I'm not provided with material, it's out-of-pocket cost for me, and I don't have a lot of extra money to spend to do STEM activities all the time for every standard.
Yeah.
I try to incorporate across the curriculum as much as I can, but they're not necessarily STEM based.
If they could go to the lab and the STEM teacher could teach them STEM activities that were standard based and age appropriate, would that be if that were an option, would you prefer they do that?
Yes. Most definitely, because then the supplies are there. It's a different room, so they understand it, because it would be part of our schedule. So they understand when they go there that that's what they're doing, and it's not something that I'm just putting on a random day that I'm told to do it and throwing off our whole schedule. If it was a part of our schedule, I really think it would make all the difference, especially for a co-teaching class.
Yeah, science is becoming more a part of the assessments for students and incorporating the technology, the math, the writing and reading, and it's important for kindergarten as well as the other grades. Do you think it's an important content for the students to acquire, to learn at this age?
I don't necessarily know that STEM is the most important at this age, because most of the science standards for kindergarten are basic knowledge, building background to build on, because we talk about, basically we really go back as far as like what we do, the 5 senses. They've got to understand their 5 senses: touch, feel, smell, taste, hear. And when we do that, we teach them about the rocks and the sand and basically vocabulary that they may not get at their house. This is a rock. Let's feel the rock. How does it feel? This is sand. Does it feel different than the rock? Like it's really very, very, very basic. And we talk about, these are plants. These are animals. Like, it's really a basic level at the kindergarten level right now. There's not much to really dig into and build upon right now.
So all the science you need for kindergarten could be obtained in the classroom, walking outside, in the hallway, at cafeteria, without a STEM activity, without you spending large quantities of money and materials and differentiating your, not differentiating, but not disrupting your world, for them to acquire and meet the standards
Yes.
and achieve.
Because in kindergarten, it's basically investigating, exploring, learning about the different things that they will build upon throughout their school. Because a lot of kids come to school not knowing different things. They don't. When we talked about the 5 senses, you would be amazed that there was only a handful of kids that even knew what that meant. They knew that they could smell and they knew that they could see and taste, but they didn't know that those were the 5 senses, and we use them every day for everything that we basically do. They didn't put that together. They just, my nose smells, my ears hear.
So STEM can start at a different grade level and allow you all to build the foundation that's needed for content attainment, so that the kids could start science, technology, engineering, and math perhaps at 2nd grade, lay the foundation at kindergarten, expand upon that for 1st grade, incorporate actual science, technology, engineering, and math 2nd or 3rd grade to hone those skills or refine those skills for the older students, and allow you all to stay in your classrooms and teach students the things that they need to know to be successful at a later date, not disrupt your day, and allow you to teach.
Right.
Okay. I know that could be a suggestion that's made for administration here in this building, perhaps after the certification, because I think at this point everybody's required to participate to be a STEM school. So maybe we'll have to bear with that the rest of this year, but to voice your opinion as a grade level might be wise, so that next year you get the benefit of staying in your room and not disrupting your day. But I think what you did was great, and the way you handled it was great, and the way you laid out your day was great, and your obstacles that you had to obtain, you did them very well. I was in here, and I think they did an awesome job with that. I enjoyed watching them do it because I wasn't the one cleaning up the wet floor, but the kids that were in here, and they did have some good comments about the hole in the boat makes it sink and things of that nature. But we'll see what your next challenge is, and maybe pre-plan that a little better. I'll be aware of what's going on and help with that activity. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
And you opened my eyes a little bit. I didn't know that it wasn't a standard.
It's not exactly, no.
But you were able to incorporate some standards with accounting and the
Yes,
shapes.
and investigating is part of our thing, and and exploring. So we were able to. I made it fit into our standards. It's not written out. Design a boat in our standards, but I was able to tie it into different things.
And that's what good teachers do.
Thanks.
You're welcome.